Spokane listens when business talks. Welcome to Business Talks, the region's only local business talk show with your host, Ryan McNeice. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well Dressed Walrus. Now, let's get down to business with Business Talks.
Welcome to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeice, and we're here in the studio with Wes Oliver and Doug Jaworski, benefits consultants at Gallagher Benefits. And we're here today to talk about an exciting event coming up that you're going to have some great guest speakers. Tell us about the event. It's primarily going to surround the idea of optimizing human capital. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, Ryan.
Well,
Appreciate it.
right off the bat, let's head up the show with when is the event, and then tell us about the event.
Yeah, let's get into the details. So
Right.
The event is May 3rd. It's a Thursday
So it's coming up
at the
quickly.
convention center, and it'll be a breakfast event. So breakfast will start at 8:30 in the morning. We're paying for breakfast. We're paying for parking, so it's easy for folks to get in, get breakfast started around 8:30, and then the actual event will go from 9 to noon
Okay.
On the 3rd.
So not only convenient for folks to really take this event in, but the importance, I think, of this event and many of the shows we do on Business Talks, there isn't a business out there that human capital is your most important aspect to your business. So give us some insight on how at this particular event or seminar you're going to approach those ideas and how clients and or folks at the event can really benefit from this.
You want to kick us off?
Sure. The title of this event is Destination 2020, and it's all about human capital, as you're alluding to. Everybody's competing for the best human capital out there now, so we're going to bring in some keynote subject matter experts to talk about ways businesses can identify that and get over and get the best people in the organization.
Can you identify some of the, don't think we need to hide the ball on some of our great speakers?
Sure.
Give us a kind of a roundup of
No, we're excited. I think we have a really good lineup for folks. Tommy Lloyd,
Yep.
Gonzaga men's basketball assistant coach that's been with Gonzaga for the last almost 20 years or so, is going to be our keynote speaker. I think the exciting thing about having Tommy there is what he's going to do is really tell the Gonzaga basketball story. And I think in the way that relates to business industry as a whole, and what we're talking about is attracting and retaining the best employees, right? So, and that's recruiting 101, and that's what
he does.
That's what Tommy's good at.
And clearly there's been success there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think who better to hear it from than somebody like Tommy that's, the college basketball landscape in terms of how competitive that recruiting market is, and taking Gonzaga, which you and I talked about before we started this, back 20 years ago,
Totally
was
different.
A great school, good history, but not on the map the way that it is today. I think being able to tell that story on how the basketball team and the coaching staff in particular, took advantage of all the great things that Gonzaga had going for it, family culture, a place that really appreciates the individual and works together with the community. Tommy's going to, I think, really set us up for a good event on the 3rd. So,
but you're right. He's such a good example of putting Gonzaga on a national stage, which obviously he's going to be speaking to it per the analogies in the workforce. And I think, as we were discussing earlier, if anybody that's at this seminar or would like to go to this seminar, if they've ever had an opportunity to go out there and hire for any respective job, professional, etc., you really find out pretty quickly, as you indicated, how competitive it actually is. They're interviewing you just as much as you're interviewing them. And if you don't think that's true, which is, of course, what you guys will be talking about, you're not going to get the best of the best. If you're not acknowledging that your own culture, your own policies are very important. They're listening.
no question.
Definitely.
How is it's in a breakfast format, I think, as you indicated. In terms of the speakers that are coming in, are they each taking individual areas that you can speak to a little bit?
Yeah, so Tommy will kind of kick us off and lay the backdrop for for the morning, in terms of, like you said, kind of painting that picture of how do you become a destination employer?
Right.
How do you build a culture and build a name for yourself that employees or people that are out there searching for jobs, they're looking to come to you. So Tommy will kick us off with that, and then we also have a few Gallagher resources as well that'll be coming in and speaking to kind of different aspects of that. So, the Destination 2020 is, you're kind of trying to build out, what does your game plan look like? What's your strategy look like? And what kind of tools and resources are out there to, build that, build your company up to a spot where by 2020 you're in a position where employees are seeking you out. So I think we have an individual that's a HR consultant from one of our Bay Area offices, Armand Bingle.
Okay, from Gallagher.
From a Gallagher resource. So he'll be following up Tommy and really talking through some of the tools and resources that are available, some of the ways that Gallagher can help in helping companies and organizations position themselves to become destination employers, become employers of choice. So he'll walk through some of the kind of the HR consulting side in terms of
communication, employee engagement.
Definitely.
Right. Well, and when you throw out 2020, somebody might be thinking 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, look where we are. We're in mid-April,
I know.
2018.
Yeah.
2020 is around the corner. So obviously that's a pretty good goal to have here in the near future. And in terms of planning for HR needs, culture, policy, programs, orientation, it doesn't happen overnight. And maybe give us a little bit of that process in the sense that what should a company be doing, looking to do kind of first, second, third? We don't need to be too in-depth, but what is a snapshot of what someone might be learning at this particular seminar coming up in May?
I think a lot of it is taking a step back and realizing what does the community think of us? When they think of XYZ organization in the community, what's our reputation? What do people what's their first thought? And really being able to understand, yeah, exactly. What does our brand mean? And how does it resonate with our current employees and potential employees? So really kind of taking a step back and doing an assessment of where do we stand currently, and then where do we want to be? So, by 2020 or whenever, that's just a number that's out there. But whatever date you set in terms of what's your goal and where do you want to be and how do you want to be seen? So really finding a way to, finding a way to, where are we today? But how do we want to be seen in the marketplace, and then finding the tools and resources to get to that spot.
And I think another good point that you're bringing up is maybe understanding how do people actually see us, because let's face it, we all do this in our respective businesses. You can sit around and think, this is how I think people think of us.
Sure.
But in terms of overall survey, if you will, is that what people think when you say Amazon, when you say Google, as you indicated, brand? What is your brand story?
Sure.
What is it saying about you? And so is that part of the challenge or part of the difficulty is maybe starting out and understanding not only how we want to be seen, how are we already seen, and what we need to change.
And I think being comfortable with it can be painful, because you're going to hear things that you probably don't, you didn't
maybe a little
expect.
Denial.
Exactly.
I could see myself saying that.
Hey, all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's definitely the case. And, we all think that everything's going the way that, we see it. But, getting out and doing, like you said, surveys are a perfect word. I mean, getting out and doing employee surveys on, how are we doing?
Right.
What are we doing well? Where do we need help? And, how do you see us, basically, I think, can carry a lot of value in helping guide, what does that next 2, 3, 4 year strategy look like?
I think another challenge that I think I've seen in the employment aspect of HR is maybe what society or leading business journals or even the individual employee is maybe saying that they want about culture and or policy or an work environment on many levels. But is that in reality, pragmatically, is that what, I'm talking from a 10,000 foot view, is that really what the employee wants? And melding that between the employer saying, I think what we're hearing per our surveys, is that employees, by and large, want more flex time, want more ability to work from different locations, and then meshing that with business needs, actual whatever that respective business is, the business need, and is that really what they're wanting? I think that can be somewhat challenging.
No question.
Is matching those up.
Yeah.
Before we take a break, let's talk a little bit about each of your career trajectories in terms of Gonzaga grads, right?
Not Doug.
Oh,
I'm not.
Not Doug.
oh my
I'm
gosh.
transplanted from the East Coast.
Well, that's okay. That's
Exactly.
okay. We'll allow for that.
Thank
but
you. I'm
but
very
nonetheless,
good
we'll talk
coordinator.
about Gonzaga. But how did you get into this particular business in terms of benefits consulting and what overall is going to be discussed at the event in depth?
Mm-hmm.
How did you come to be in this field?
Sure.
Start us off.
Great, thank you, Wes. Good question. I'm originally from the Hartford, Connecticut area, which is the insurance and financial capital
Absolutely.
of the
That's-
world,
Yeah.
depending on who you're talking to. My dad had a 35-year career with Aetna, and growing up as a kid, that's kind of the last thing you think you want to do, something maybe your folks did, or
Mm-hmm.
attended University of Maine undergrad, and
That's cool.
some guys that I played soccer with ended up at Aetna, and reached out to me and just said, hey, we're looking for some people, and you
And-
should probably come in.
And wouldn't you agree, though, I was talking to somebody this week about this very concept that you said maybe I wouldn't do what my parents did, or insurance, or might not be your first choice, but I used we discussed that it's in there somewhere,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that you were sitting in the back seat listening to those conversations,
Sure.
right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
no matter what we might think as kids or what have you, it's in there somewhere.
Mhm.
And ultimately probably had a leg up in the industry because it was second nature to you.
A little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and so that just got me in on the company side, and I started in contract development, which is a really good place to start because you're putting together the master contract so you know how things are built.
Right.
You also get access to see the machine per se,
Mhm.
and how
How it
things
works.
work and how it all comes out. So that really helps. From there, was with Aetna for a number of years in different capacities, and then I had an opportunity to go to a reinsurance company. So that was kind of nice to see, okay, well, how are risk layered?
I was going to say the reinsurance business is a fascinating one. I think Warren Buffett and the name reinsurance comes up quite a bit, but
Sure.
that's a fascinating backstory.
Right.
Might have to save that for a different show. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's
Next time we
Get
come back.
real
Yeah.
technical next time.
So how did you
Exactly.
make it out
I-
west?
While working for Aetna, I was a national sales
Hmm.
rep, had business in Missoula, Montana, bumped into my wife. my now
Missoula's a
wife.
neat place.
She was in grad school there, and never thought that I would end up here in Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area, but
Calling yourself a West Coaster.
yeah.
A little
almost.
bit.
Yeah, absolutely. This
Yeah.
is my home now. I've been here almost 20 years' time. So when we transitioned,
Mhm.
I had kidnapped Ann back east, and after a series of events, we started our family. She really wanted to get back here. So
Back
our
out
house,
west.
packed it up and came out here, and ran into some people that had an insurance agency in Coeur d'Alene.
Hmm.
They knew my background. They were looking for some people and said, have you ever thought about being on the consultant broker side? Hadn't really, but brought knowledge and skill set to that, and they gave me an opportunity.
Which
And-
is exactly what we're talking about at this event.
No question.
Exactly.
Is finding the skill set to match up with the need of the
Absolutely.
employer or joint venture, et cetera.
Sure.
Hmm.
Identifying weaknesses in an organization is
Right.
some of the things that we do, and Wes alluded to that. That's oftentimes painful, but if you want to get to where you want to be, those are the things that you need to tackle
Mhm.
first and foremost.
Right.
And this event that we're going to have, this seminar, is going to be good for that because, as Wes said, there'll be some internal Gallagher wellness expertise there, human resources consulting there.
Multifaceted.
Executive compensation.
Executive comp, exactly.
All the respective pieces, relevant pieces.
Yeah.
Let's take a short break. Come right back. We'll talk to
Perfect.
Wes and his career trajectory, and continue with you, Doug, as well. We'll be
Great.
right back on Business Talks.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
The economy is getting stronger, banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome back to Business Talks. Thanks, guys. I want to jump right back in and continue on talking about the career trajectories of both of you, which I think are analogous, really, to what we're talking about at the upcoming seminar. And that you were talking about with your background, your professional background, is the needs and the challenges of trying to mesh your skills, your experience with the skills and opportunities that were presenting themselves out here in Coeur d'Alene at the time. Mm-hmm. And you made that happen, which led to, and it's been a prolific career. I think that is right on point with what you're trying to accomplish with the multifaceted information that's going to be at the upcoming event. Wes, let's talk about your trajectory. Yeah. You did go to Gonzaga, so we can give a shout out to Gonzaga. You got that one right. We nailed that one, yeah. But tell us how you came to Gallagher.
Very differently than Doug. So Doug was industry guy, and I was not. So I've been with Gallagher for almost 3 years now. I was a relationship sales has been my background for my entire career. So I was with Gonzaga actually as a fundraiser for 10 years or so. So from 2005 to 2004 or so in a major gift and estate planning role. So
for the university.
For the university, yeah. So built a lot of, network-wise, built a really strong network, a lot of really solid relationships. And then for a couple years, I was doing sales for a small hedge fund out of Newman Lake. And kind of happenstance, Charlie Isaacs, who runs our office here in Spokane, our Gallagher office, was playing golf in a charity tournament with my brother-in-law. And he started describing a relationship sales type position that he had with Gallagher. And my brother-in-law called me shortly after the round and said, hey, you might hate me. I don't know this guy that well, but maybe maybe it's an opportunity that you might like. So Charlie and I got together, and he told me about the company and the position, and it just seemed like a really good fit for where I saw my career going and what the opportunity was, and just what my strength is in terms of building relationships, and it's been great. So
well, and Wes, and how you're describing that is interesting to me, because we've touched on a couple different ways that with Doug's backstory as well, that how much of the HR and bringing, optimizing the human capital that we've been discussing, how much of it is word of mouth, who you know, how much of that is built into the process of finding the right fit for employer-employee?
Yeah, no question. Well, it's all about people, and I think that's at the end of the day, no question, and finding the right people. And we talked about it earlier. I mean, that's organizations today's biggest challenge is defining what that culture is and who those right people are, and then getting out and finding them. So I think you're spot on with.
Well, and then finding the right person, so to speak, might be perfect for job number 2, or I should say A, B, or C, just might not be right for this one particular organization. Yeah. That's the challenge, I think, of HR is really making the fit and making the leap from resume or curriculum vitae in terms of what it says on paper versus who is this actual individual. Sure. What have you guys experienced in that via Gallagher in terms of kind of breaking through an incredibly qualified individual on paper versus maybe having the it factor or not in person?
Book smarts is different than street smarts.
Right.
We're finding employers need to be doing more to attract those type of individuals to their organization. And is there a wellness component? Is it human resource information services, executive compensation, Corporate culture is huge nowadays. I mean, you mentioned before about an Amazon, and are there ping pong tables? Are there billiard tables? It sounds good, but at the end of the day, we need to, are we for profit, non-profit? What is it that we're trying to accomplish?
What's our purpose? What's our goal?
Right, and can we get the right people in there? So that does become a challenge. There's an element of trust and faith in this, but the better position that you are to have people come in and have choices.
Right.
Which is nice.
Tell me a little more about the wellness piece that you just were describing. What's more of a description of that component?
I think it's become, over the last 5 years or so, it's kind of become one of those hot button topics, and especially in larger organizations where they're trying to figure out, how can we help our employees, be healthier and be more engaged in their day-to-day work. And, I think wellness it's evolved where it was, how many steps have you done?
Sure.
And,
we have a gym membership at a discount. It's much more beyond that. We take a more holistic approach to organizations. And well-being now encompasses financial well-being. Many people are 2 or 3 paychecks away from homelessness, are not putting any money into retirement.
It's probably more the norm.
Sure. You think I have enough money to retire, but do you?
Yeah.
Are you willing to modify your lifestyle based on
No.
how much money you have? Right.
No is usually the answer.
We have, for the seminar on the 3rd, Rebecca Krusky is our Western region kind of well-being champion, basically, and for Gallagher, and her role has has evolved over the last several years as well. Where she's going to be coming to this seminar talking. We had her in Spokane maybe 2 years ago or so, and it was a lot more, how does my company get a wellness program started? And a lot of it was around, steps and activity and a little bit of the financial aspect, but she's moved into more of a, talking about company culture and, engaging your employees in a way that's, at the office, at home, in their family lives. How can you build a full circle that really takes care of that employee and reaches out to really understand them and what they're facing, to Doug's point, from a financial standpoint, from a mental state, state of mind standpoint, from a health standpoint. So
community involvement.
Absolutely.
Well, I think you both are saying, Doug, you mentioned it a little earlier, the holistic approach, and maybe that word's overused at times, but it defines what we're talking about.
Certainly.
Whereas historically, major corporations were focused on be here at 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, what have you.
45-minute lunch break, that's it.
And that's it. Anything at home, any of that holistic.
Leave it at home.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's
that's completely changing and has to.
Sure.
Not healthy overall.
If your home isn't in proper order, how can you expect to come to your employer workplace and get it done there?
What's a little bit of, we have a little bit of time here left. What is some general background on Gallagher itself? We got a little bit of each of your career trajectory. We have the event coming up. In general, tell us a little bit more about Gallagher as a company itself.
Want me to hammer it? Okay.
Go ahead.
So Gallagher started, it's Chicago-based, so Itasca, Illinois. Rolling Meadows now, so we moved the corporate office. But Illinois-based company, started in 1927 as a property casualty company. So still a huge part of our business is the risk management side, so property casualty side. We've moved into what our local Spokane branch does, the benefits, human resource consulting side over the last 40, 50 years or so. And that's become almost kind of a 50-50 split of our business. So have offices all across the country, I think 41 states, internationally. So one of the largest, depending on the year, 3, 4, 5 largest benefits consulting companies in the world.
21,000 employees, international presence.
Well, more reason to be able to talk about human resources, right? Human capital. Sure. In our remaining time, give us one more description of how folks can sign up and or register for the upcoming event. We are going to include a link on any of the social media.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Excuse me. Any of the social media links that go out, hopefully give individuals and listeners an opportunity to quickly and easily register. But maybe there's some information online that you can talk about right now.
Yeah, we have several kind of LinkedIn campaigns going on. We've done some direct mailers. I mean, I think people should feel fairly blanketed, I think,
That's good.
in knowing about it. So several opportunities. Thank you for including it on yours
Oh,
as
absolutely.
well.
This is important and exciting, I think, in Spokane. It affects every employer and employee. So
One other exciting thing that I think we should mention is we're going to have Laura Wood,
Yes.
who's VP of HR for Spokane Teachers Credit Union, and she's going to be there doing an interview. So one of our colleagues in our office is going to be interviewing her. STCU, as we all know, has kind of been an icon in
Absolutely.
Spokane in terms of
On
culture.
several fronts.
Absolutely.
Sure, exactly.
Being a destination employer, and so we're excited to have her there to kind of share her wisdom around things that they've done, approaches they've taken, how they've kind of been out in front of the curve a little bit.
Organizational development.
So we're excited to have Laura there as well.
Well, there's no doubt you have a great group of people. I would encourage anybody to take the time to go to this breakfast. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ryan.
See you
Thank
next
you.
time. Thank you.
Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well Dressed Walrus. Business Talks wishes you good business and a good day.